Okay. David's not here today. Friday. What? Yeah, it's a Friday talk. I'm Ashgiach Sefer in the Baruch Hu say Friday talk, a Friday talk. There's a Hefgeveld. Okay. Ernie, they spoke German in Detroit, not Yiddish, right? Okay. Okay. We left off on Nun Gimel. The last third of the page, first column. Okay, Nun Gimel. Omer Rav Chomot. Tone Tanakim Rav Nachman. Bar Yitzchok. Kol Amalbim Tei Chaver B'Rabim Kilu Shovei V'Domim. Person who embarrasses a person publicly, it's as if he's shedding blood. Amalei Shapak Amrit. He says what you're saying is correct. Why? What's considered? To what degree do you have to embarrass a person publicly? The chazin le de ozo sumka, that he loses the red hue of his complexion. Vosa chivro, he turns white, turns pale. It has to be that level of embarrassment. So, like he loses the blood from his face. That's the shofei domim. The blood leaves his face. Famous Rabbeinu Yonah. Rabbeinu Yonah says that it's a bizarraya the shvichas domim. When you kill the man. The things which have a semblance of murder, or semblance of, let's say, a promiscuity, that itself is what is the equivalent. Is halacha and yerug val yavar on these things. It's called bizarraya. Rashiva Zechron Baruch once asked, probably the Altas of Slobodka used to say this. The Torah was offered to the nations of the world, and each one turned it down for his own reason. Adam said it says Lotirtzov, this one said it says Lotinov. But for actually any civilized nation, they have laws. You know, murder is not permitted, adultery is not permitted. I mean, they had relevance to this. So why did they reject it? So what he said was, we're not talking about just shedding blood. We're talking about all the Amal Chaver is Kilu Shofei Chrodomi. Yoren Toparnos is Chaver, you undermine somebody else's livelihood. Kilu Noto Nishmaso, it's like taking your soul. So we're talking about things which have a semblance of that, which have the severity of that. That's what they couldn't accept. Murder to us means taking a person's life. Anything beyond that, that's not murder. That's what he used to say. That's what they weren't able to accept. Howard, you said it? You heard? Mm-hmm. So you say it over. Shem Amna. Right? Maharal said, he never said the name of the altar, but it probably was from the altar. Because many things he didn't say. Name an altar, but it was from the altar of Slobodka. Omli Abayi Ravdimi b'Marova Memai Zihiri. Omli Bachveri Api. He says in there. So what were they very careful? That not to cause a person's face to turn white. Hakol Yordam L'Gehenim Chutz Migimul. Says all go to Gehenim except for three. Hakol Sokadaitoch. Whatever, even tzaddik will go to Gehenim. Says everybody goes to Gehenim except for three. El Emo Kol HaYordmin. All that have to go to Gehenim for purging. Not all don't go to Gehenim, but whoever has to go to Gehenim, they go and then they come out. Chutz Migimul. Sheyordam Veidim Olim. They go there, it's a permanent stay. They don't come out. Permanent resident. Veilu Hein Abole Shesish. We're talking about without tshuva. Person who doesn't do tshuva. Person who commits adultery. Hamal b'nei chaver b'rabim. V'machane shem chaver rav chaveru. Person who calls his friend, refers to him a certain pejorative name, which causes embarrassment. Right? It's like a nickname. You know, years ago, people used to name kids names. They carried the name for the rest of their life. The person a child was called Sonny. Right? The rest of his life he was called Sonny. Right? The person was called Chubby. Little chubby kid. He's 60 years old. They called it, that's Chubby. Remember, there's a person on the Lower East Side. He ran the houseware store. They used to call him the Mouse. The mouse. He had a face that looked like a mouse face. So when he was a little kid, they used to go, he grew up on the Lower East Side. Then he had a houseware store. You know, and they used to call him Mouse. I mean, is it, what's his name? Is it honorable? I mean, a person gets used to it, but actually it's disgraceful to call a person by that. He gets used to it. Okay.
These things.
Today you don't hear these names. People referring to people. What? I'm just saying.
These things, I mean, 2 out of 3 are not so uncommon.
Yeah, but if it's something which, even though the person after a while is not offended by it, or doesn't realize to be offended, he's been called that since he's a child. You know, he made peace with it. Okay? Kids, they go in, he goes in, the person runs to close it. He says, your son needs a husky. Needs a husky. That's it. The kid makes peace with it. He realizes no other suit's going to fit him. Right. It's only a husky. Howard, you remember those days? Okay. That's the Mission Torah.
Is this supposed to be, is this literal, that those people don't?
We're talking about a person calls a person, and it makes the person feel uncomfortable. You know, how would you like to be called that? That's the idea. You make a person's life, it's like you ride a person all his life. No, it has to be, so Tosa says over there, Mechano Shem La, it has to be derogatory, which would cause embarrassment. It's only because he's gotten used to it, that's why he doesn't feel embarrassed any longer. He made peace with it already. Like, you know, all the names, you know, the Goyim, many of the names they gave Jews, especially in Hungary, were all pejorative names. Schwarz. Whoever a person called black. They called Schwartz. It's black. My mother-in-law, her family's name was Krumbine. Krumbine. Crooked bone. You know, a person is deformed. You know, these are the names they gave Jews. It was all to put them to, you know, all pejorative names. Even Weiss. White, you know. It's the person that does this. No, the person who calls a person continuously. It's not that you called one person that. I remember, you know, Europeans, Marashus, Rocha, you refer to everybody by their last name. Only when you got older, you're married, maybe he would call you by your first name. But as a Bacher, last name, always.
Why?
Because that's in Europe, that's the way they refer to it. What?
No, it's not so.
They would say, Levi.
Yeah, right.
Levi, come here. That's what we would say.
Right.
You know, whatever the person's name was. So there was a certain Rebbe in Baltimore. He's an American. And he used to call the Bochrim by their first names, by their last names. It used to bother me. And I was a good Bochrim. It really bothered me. No, because you're an American. Americans, in America you don't call people by their last names. There's a certain distance. You know, he's a student. Value the person, acknowledge it by his first name or their last name. There was a story, Rabbi Leza Silver. He was originally in Harrisburg, then he was in Cincinnati for many years, like the chief rabbi there. And he was a person who was a Gaon. I mean, really super genius. He was a little eccentric, and so he once did a shiur in 1941 in Baltimore. Shiur in the yeshiva. They had some very good students there, and somebody asked him a question which refuted what he said. So he said, this is what he said, you know, in Europe there were Gedolei Yisrael. Rav Shimish Kop was one of the Gedolei Yisrael, was Rav Shimish Kop. Rav Naftali Trop, he was Rosh Yeshiva Radin by the Chofetz Chaim, his name was Trop. And Rabbi Chalina Wasserman, he was the Rosh Yeshiva in Branovich. So one of the students asked him and seemed to be just totally demolished, his whole structure. So he said, and he was a Lithuanian Jew, so he used to pronounce a shin like a sin. The old time. We met your Rabbi Gasovsky before Chief Rabbi of South Africa, the day before he walked in. So he says, Schoin gesagt, die Svora to skop trop Wasserman. That's what he said. In one Skub and they didn't ask the question. If that's the case, your question is not a question. He says, I mean, but I already said it to Skub Wasserman. 3 Gdoli Torah refers to by the last names. Not Rav Shimon Shkop, not Rav Naftali Trop, and not Rav Chol. Skub Wasserman. That's what he's referred to one another. Okay. My Mashgiach Yosef Tzedek Tzaddik Levrocha never referred to a bocha by his last name. Never. Always by his first name. In those days, he had 180 boys in yeshiva. Every person was always referred to by his first name to give him a sense of value.